내가 함께 해보자.
안녕하십니까. Hello everybody. I see many familiar faces here. So we just want to share with you some of the updates very quickly, and we will have a two case demonstration for the under the iMac area and the A-type cannula thread. So let's see. We have some updates. Okay, so now I'm sure many of you know already the video thread, and you know many types of other thread. So nowadays in Korea, most of the thread is we call mold type cannula. So mold type cannula and many different design, and also now we have called emboss or super emboss. The meaning is the cork is inside the thread. I mean the thread is like this. Okay, I'll tell you once more difference between the cork thread and mold cork and the emboss mold. Okay, well, I'll tell you one more time. Okay, so this is the cork thread. As you know, cork thread, if you have the thread and you cut to make the cork, so you can think the area which cut to make a cork, the area of the cork become weak. So when it become weak, and when they absorb, when they melt, which one will melt first? This shaft or the cut cork? Cut cork. So usually, previously, I mean 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if you use the cork thread alone to make a lifting, usually 4 months, 5 months, drop down, come back to normal. But the whole thread, of course, melt 6 to 8 months. But you can see here the mold thread. There is no cutting. There is no cutting, but on top of the thread, you have additional spike, additional cork. So this one will not melt at the cutting point like a previous cork. But the problem is, thread becomes so thick. Okay, so thread usually very thick. So if you don't have a good skill, sometimes you get the protrusion, the dimpling, you have this asymmetry lines. So this is the problem. So after that, this mold thread, but we call it emboss mold. So you have the shaft, and you go this pattern. So this will less create the dimpling and less the lines appear because of this shape. But now we have another thread called the super emboss. Means you have the thread and the cork is inside. So we also call it inner cork. So inner cork also create less dimpling, but sometimes it's difficult to hold the skin. But with our technique, don't pull too much, then usually there is no problem. And then, so these are the inner corks, super embos, which we call super embos. And then, now is the new era of the octo twist, which is the braided thread. Okay, we have PDO, we have PCL, we have braided thread. It's beautiful. And because of this pattern, they stimulate a lot of collagen in between the threads. You remember a long time ago I showed the cross section of the thread. The collagen stimulates surrounding the thread. But octo twist means 8 threads twist each other. So you can imagine along the 8th thread surrounding the thread you have the collagen stimulation. So it is nowadays this octo twist is used not only for the collagen stimulation technique of lifting, but used for the filler. Can you imagine the thread? We call it thread filler. Especially they are very good here, and also the globular wrinkle is fantastic. Globular wrinkle, and also this long wrinkle, which let's say you are 60, 70 years old with a very deep wrinkle, cannot solve with the Botox, cannot solve with the filler, then you can try the octo twist. It's very good. Okay, so these are the new thread. Of course, we have another new one actually. We call it double mold thread. Usually, the thread come up cannula, something like this, right? Something like this. But double mold means you have one more line, long line. So you have a one outside with a molding cork, or one inside embossed mold. So this is what we call double mold thread. Can you see it here? Yeah, one inside embossed mold, outside cork mold. So you are putting the 2 mold thread in one cannula. So actually Ultra-B released first time in the world, first time in Korea, this double mold thread, PDO, PCL. It's fantastic. And we also have a elastic mold thread. Elastic means the thread is like a rubber band. So we pull up like a rubber band, and then we can tie here. Some people like this anchoring technique, can use it. So Ultra-B released actually so many new type of thread, first time in the world. So these are the different type of thread which I show to my patient and let them choose. Of course, the new one more expensive, more better, more expensive. Okay, but it's important that you have to show your patient that you are doing something new all the time. This one you know already, so I will just pass. I will just show you the difference between the cannulas. Okay. To put the thread, as you know, we need a needle or cannula. So if you have a good quality of cannula, also the result is different. So this is the most commonly used cannula nowadays everywhere in the world. L-type cannula, mean it's a half blunt. Can you see it here? Half blunt. And this is commonly also used before when we use the filler. So this is called totally blunt, so we call it W type. Okay, so let's talk about these 2 types. The L type and W type which is much easy to go in when you put the cannula. L type is more easy to go in. Okay, then what is the usual problem of the L type? It's easy to go in, but what is the usually problem of the bruising? Yes, because it's a little bit semi-sharp, so it's more painful. More painful, and of course, they will hurt more blood vessels, so more swelling, more bruising. So many people, some people use the W type. This is a totally blunt one. Okay, totally blunt one. What is the advantage of this totally blunt one? Advantage. Less bruising. Yeah, that's correct. Less bruising. Yes. Less pain, because it's at least it's blunt, right? But then what is the usual problem? It's difficult to put in, especially those patients who have a very fibrotic skin underneath, who did many treatments before, who did a thread before, who did the ulcera before, who did a filler before, especially like a sculpture, very fibrotic fillers, a lancet, very difficult calcium fillers, super difficult. So what happens sometimes? You want to put them in with the power, and at this point, sometimes it breaks. Okay, so you have to be very careful. So I always tell you in our trainings, do not put the thread with too much power, and do not manipulate the cannula like this. This is not really a good technique, especially when you are doing like this, what happened? Do you remember when I give you the tips? Always the cannula should be beveled down. Remember? Beveled down. It's very important. I tell you, before I mention, no other Korean doctor will mention about these things, because they don't even know the importance of the bevel up or down. You got it? Okay. If you make the bevel, suddenly you are doing it and the bevel going up like this, what happened? The most common problem. The thread becomes too superficial. And especially when it's with the cork and you pull, dimpling. You get more chance of the dimpling when you put the bevel up with the cannula. Once you have this dimpling, sometimes it will make you headache for many days, because patient will call you, I have this dimpling, when this will go away. You will tell them, oh, just do some massage, they will go away, but sometimes they stay there one month, 2 months. That's why I always tell you, when you do the thread, you should be a kind of a perfectionist. If you make any mistake, that will make you headache for a long time. Okay, so A type here. You can see all the good advantages of the both L type and W type. Because it's at the end, can you see it's semi-blunt? So it's very easy to go in, but because it's at end is the blunt, it will less cause bruise or swelling, hematoma, much lesser. So many of the doctors who start using A-type cannula, they don't want to do L-type, or they don't want to use other type of cannula. So anyway, these are also very important things. The cannula is also very important to make less problems, okay? But still keep bevel down when you're going into the skin. So pain, A-type, pain less, insertion easy, swelling less, hematoma less. So this is one of the newest cannula. Also again, first time introduced by Ultravi in Korea. Ultravi introduced first time in Asia, in Europe, Australia, and North America and South America already. This one, we put the patent on the whole world. So any of them, they have to buy our patent to use the A-type camera. Can you see the cutting coke here? This is the cut portion that I mentioned to you. So this area will melt more fast. So usually 4 months average. If you use only the coke thread for lifting, 4 months, sudden drop down. Okay, so these are some of the new cannulas and new thread starting to use by some advanced doctors in Korea and other countries. Okay. So I always tell you, whenever there is a new thing, if you are doing the thread, you have to promote to your patient. So the patient will trust you. Oh, I don't have to go to other clinics. If I come to your clinic, always there is something new. That's how I take care of my patient. Okay, this Octotwist is really one of the best threads. I just review one more time for the techniques. As I mentioned to you, there are 2 types of thread lifting. One is collagen stimulation technique, and one is mechanical lifting technique. But if you are a beginner, I advise you to do collagen stimulation technique first. Even myself, I did 3 years for collagen stimulation technique. Okay? But still the result is much better than any other machine you have in your clinic. Any lifting machine. Thermat or Thera or Double O, Ultraform or whatever. You can compare half face with those famous machine. You can compare half face with this even mono, tornado. You will see the effect is totally different. Machine is machine. You should understand this, okay? And I always mention to you, if you are going to practice the aesthetic for a long time, don't depend on the machine. Machine will not save you. Machine will not help you. It helps you only short time. Why? For example, doctor, how long have you been practicing aesthetics? Huh? How many years? 5 years. Okay, let's say there is a newcomer, new doctor, newly graduate. And then there is a new machine. Let's say some machine called Accent Prime, new machine. You buy today. This new doctor buy tomorrow. You buy almost at the same time. Then your skill using the Accent Prime almost same. But you've been doing thread for 5 years. And this new doctor starts today. Do you think you done 5 years of thread? This new doctor just started. Do you think the skill is same? Totally different. So that I tell you, thread, the more you do, your skill will be more there. So it will save you from your competitors. Do you understand? The machine you buy, nowadays, before, 10 years ago, the first machine I buy was the Quantum IPL and N-Light, and also fractional laser, Fraxel from and also fractional, the upgrade one from year 2006. I bought it $200,000 in Korea. Yes, but after 3 years, so many Fraxel came out. CO2 Fraxel, Orbium Fraxel, and the other Fraxel came out. And I want to, of course, I made some good profit, but the handpiece was so expensive. So I pay the lease, I pay the handpiece, and after 3 years, I want to sell the machine. You know how much I sold the machine after 4 years? $20,000. Nobody wants to buy the old Fraxel. They want to buy the new Fraxel. So that means you pay a lot of lease. Of course you treat, but still you pay a lot of the handpiece consumables. I found out nothing left for profit. So, but the thread is relatively cheap. It's like this. Of course, there are many competitors, but if your skill is going out there, you can charge very expensive. I'm still many Korean doctors now in Korea because so many competitors. They charge very cheap, but I charge very expensive. Still, I have a patient lining up. Tomorrow I go back, I have more than 12 patients for the thread. So you have to understand, there are some machines, of course, you must have in your clinic, like a CO2 laser. I use it already more than 15 years, still there. My air dissector, I use it more than 10 years. Year 2009, now 10 years. Yeah, Dr. Wang, you saw my air dissector about 10 years ago in my clinic, right? Yeah, he has been to my clinic long time ago. The machine stayed there. My RF cannula, I used it since year 2010-11, already 8 to 9 years. So some of you have been to my clinic, you saw the machine 8 years, but still I'm using it. So you have to understand, find out which machine can stay very long in your clinic, which machine after the fashion, throw it away and sell. So you have to distinguish very well. And those machines which will stay with you long, you build up your skills, then no one can catch you. That's how I always train doctors continuously, so you will have the more patient and more profit to your clinic with the less spend. Less spend to the very expensive machine. Okay, so this collagen stimulation seems very easy. One thing that I really feel pity nowadays, you go to the big conference in Korea and some other country, they always talk about the cork molding, the long, thick ones, right? Have you seen some other convention or conference, they emphasize about the collagen stimulation techniques? Maybe you not find much. You know why? I found out there are only few doctors who mastered the collagen stimulation technique yet. You know, when I say master, okay, I give you a sample, master. For example, if you have been to also my other lectures, I always say the high-end doctor not only doing the lifting, but you can control the face. Okay, so not only the lifting, that is a very middle-class doctor, but you can shape the face is the high-end class doctor with collagen stimulation thread. That's why I sometimes show you, you have the double chin, I can put it back in 5 minutes, right? I showed you before, right? Sometimes I use only mono, but this nasal labial fold, we don't put the filler here, but I can bring this one, I can bring down, so it seems like the nasal labial fold improve. Okay, so we can, this malar protrusion, Korean, Asian, many bony protrusion here. Can you imagine, you can put down this one with my RF cannula and 5 tornado threads without cutting the bone, without trimming down the bone. I proved it many times in the live demonstration. So if you master the collagen stimulation thread, you can shape the face, okay? Also, you can shape the eyes, every